Welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast. And if you didn't follow us, that's your miss. And today is 5/19.
Yeah, it's your fucking problem, buddy.
And we got a good show talking about soccer for other people and football for the rest of the world.
Yep, for every single person on the planet but us. Yeah, I got you. It's annoying.
We got some new signing.
Oh, yeah?
When is the Champions League final?
It is May 30th.
May 30th?
No, sorry, May 31st.
This is like a week from now.
Yep.
You still got 11 days?
Yeah.
And Europa League should be before that, probably.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday, which is interesting. And are you interested in that matchup at all, by the way? The Europa League final?
I'm going to watch that.
I kind of have to.
It's just an Tottenham. Huh?
Yeah, that's fine.
But if Tottenham don't win this one,
yeah,
I will forever think they're cursed.
Yeah.
Because, you got to win it if you're Tottenham. You don't have any trophy in your cabinet. And this is the one trophy. It might not be the biggest out there, but it's a trophy.
It's right there.
Right there. You can grab it.
It is this Wednesday. It is this Wednesday, the 21st.
Oh. Is this Wednesday?
Yeah.
Dang. I didn't even know that. Oh la la.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to watch that.
I'll be watching that for sure. Yeah.
Here we go, as Romano said, we just signed a 19-year or 18-year-old kid. That's United, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I actually was a little interested in the kid, but he signed, but I think he has a loan in one of the Switzerland clubs, so he's not gonna come right in and play.
Yeah.
And he's coming from Le Havre, and if you know Le Havre, it's in France. And apparently the whole thing is connected with Ineos, so they probably have some stake in Le Havre, so they got that situated. But the reason why I'm saying that guy, his dad is a Cameroonian, and he played for Cameroon. And if you know a little bit about the World Cup and African countries, man, Cameroon in those days, they were beast. And when his dad was there, I think that team beat the Maradona team.
Yeah, because his dad is isn't he in his 30s now? He's like 30, 35, something like that.
No, I think that's his brother.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, his dad is old, kind of big. He's an old guy.
Okay,
like
I got
60s.
I got you.
Yeah.
So do you feel, Cameroonian bias aside, how does he fit into the?
Actually,
is this a slow kind of build up, or is this someone that they're kind of expecting, kind of like a not like Kobe Manu, obviously, but like to kind of work into the first team early on, or are we talking just padding out rotation?
I wonder if they're trying to first get him some experience, because he's not coming to play, because he got to fulfill a year of loan towards I forgot the club in Switzerland. I think it's in Switzerland. So on paper he's signed to United, but because he already had completed that move, so he has to go on that loan too before coming back. So I think also United is allowing it for him to grow. And because he's young, he's got talent, probably they want him to get more maturity and experience before he can come and play in with the big boys.
And that's cool. Good for United, but they need signings now.
They need people now.
Yeah. So
I wonder where they're going to get those though, because they're running at the money deficit too. They're trying to build a new stadium, or I guess revamp a new stadium. But where you can players if you're United, you just got to go to the lower leagues, man.
Yeah, your ability to sign those big players is kind of gone for now.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's easier to sign one or two superstars in the offseason when you already have 6, 7 of those guys. It's going to take them a long time to rebuild, and you can't, in their situation, you can't rebuild with superstar players. You can't increase the wage bill and hope that 2 or 3 Declan Rices later will be right up there in the top. Like, that's not going to happen for a very long time.
Plus, you think about rebuilding, you think about increasing your value, your market value in a sense. So you take a lower player, he comes in, carries it for a year, it increases his stock shoots up, and then you become more valuable as a team and the player. Means if you sell the player, you get more money out of it. So you can't really get a superstar because you are running at the money deficit, and he's going to cost a lot. So how do you increase your value in the market, and how do you increase your value footballistically sound? How do you become competitive?
And that's the sad thing, is that now that United are being run like a selling club, not a buying club. So good for them. progress.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they come up with. Madrid also just got this new 20-year-old kid. Apparently, I heard he's good, but that's one of my friend telling me. So
Yeah,
I really,
he's
really dig deep into. But he's Dutch, so Dutch defenders are really
he
good.
plays for Bournemouth.
Oh yeah,
Dienhausen. Yeah, and that's good. I mean, they desperately need somebody in that back line.
Yeah.
They need fullbacks more than center backs, but that doesn't mean that they don't need the center back because Rudiger's on borrowed time. This kid will probably.
Do you think he comes in and play directly? Because I mean, Militao, when is he planning to get back?
He'll be back,
but I wouldn't say planning, but when
he from what I've seen, he'll be back by the time the season starts. You should expect Militao to start the season.
So Rudiger might be back too because
I would assume so.
He had a meniscus surgery.
Yeah, and I would imagine now that Rudiger is going to be getting rotation kind of like Cruz.
Yeah.
He'll start some, he'll come in off the bench for some. I don't suspect that he'll be taking too many minutes away from Dienhausen. He might be taking some starts away. But I would imagine they're going to start sharing a lot of time together. And he's a tall guy too. I forget exactly how tall he is, but yeah, and so they still need somebody desperately for Vasquez.
Yeah.
Ferland Mendy's solid, but they were looking at Davies and now they're not, or maybe they're secretly directing.
I mean,
whatever.
Trent Alexander, I know, is definitely going to Madrid.
Yeah.
So who do you need on that left flank, left back? So that's an interesting. I wonder what they're gonna get, or they're gonna let Ferland Mendy. Personally, I never liked Ferland Mendy.
He's improved from where he was. He put on some size too. He put on size. I remember seeing him a couple of years ago, and then you and I were watching, or we were watching a game for the podcast. I was like, holy shit, he got massive. When did he get to like his big old broad shoulders? And he's more physical now. But I do agree that he's probably not at that caliber. But he is better than he was.
My problem with him is more technically.
Yeah, I agree.
There's not a lot he brings technically, although I understand the physicality. Even defensively, it's either you're really good at one or either. You can't just be worse at one and be average at the other one. It just don't work like that. Because especially for this big club. So I never really. I wonder if they're still gonna run him.
Yeah.
Or Xabi Alonso. I'm really interested to see what he's gonna do.
And what you hope is that by signing a younger 20-year-old defender with a little more pace than an Alaba, than a Rudiger, even though Militao does have some great pace, you hope that they're not trying to paper over the cracks of the midfield.
Yeah.
You hope that they're not saying, well, we've got more pace at the back now, so maybe we don't need to replace a 1-for-1 for Luka Modric. It's like, no, you still need to do that because you never actually replace Tony Cruz.
Yeah.
And that kind of bit you in the ass
and
later in the season as well.
Going, so that's gonna be.
So they need a new midfielder, whether they have the funds for it or not.
Yeah, I wonder if this is Arda Güler's chance to shine or
I think so.
One of these guys.
Yeah.
Because who are you getting? If I'm running the club, it will be pointless to go get another midfielder that was going to cost me more when I already have Arda Güler. I'm just going to have to
unless you're going to completely try and just you go for McAllister or something like that. You try and you expect to be paying a lot of money for it, and you expect to because Liverpool, I think that they would let any one singular player in the side go, but they're not going to get jerked around by you either. And Madrid have been used to getting these great deals, getting guys on free transfers. And so
we just got to wait, man.
They need somebody desperately, but yes, it's like...
I call Madrid the army.
Yeah.
They just draft.
Every
player is on call.
Yeah. It's like
if they want it or not, they're on call.
Yeah, and they've been very smart about it. It's like they had the funding to spray the cash. They have the cachet to convince people to come over. But they've been really smart lately, but they are a little bit behind on the amount of moves that they've needed. The ones that they've accomplished have been solid, and they've gotten them for great value. I'm not saying that that's an issue, but because you've been so miserly financially, maybe you do spend this summer, you get one or two
midfield
major out of pocket for that, because I can't think of any one player that's going to that's leaving in the summer that hasn't already been snatched up by somebody. It's like, this is the time to spray the cash. You've done very well outside of that, and you probably you do need to bite the bullet and either get a McAllister, a Gravenberch, or someone like that needs to hold down the center of the park.
My thing is, sometimes you probably got to offload some of these players, because there's a lot of them, although they didn't pay to a big transfer fee, but they're paying these guys a lot too. I don't know. We just have to see what Xavi Alonso comes and cook. And even United, there's a lot of people. United and Arsenal are having this thing. There's a lot of people that Partey and I forgot who was the other guy
for Arsenal midfield.
Yeah, like
Jorginho.
This Jorginho. These guys, the contracts are for now. I won't renew any of them because they're taking space and money. And if I'm Partey, I get out now before Arsenal quits me.
Yeah. And
it's the food, like we say, quit the football before the football quit you. Quit Arsenal before Arsenal quit you.
Yeah, because he did kind of show and is still in the process of showing a couple of cracks.
Yeah.
In this last bit of the season, he was, for weeks on end, one of their better performing players in that midfield. Him being removed from the side through injury or fitness or whatever, you immediately saw them more vulnerable at the back.
Yeah.
However, he's been caught out of position a couple more times in the last couple of games, and it's probably just the end of the season fatigue. But at the end of the day, you can't allow for your starting player to succumb to that. Your big holding midfielder needs to be able to play all 38 games in the other competitions as well.
I really want to know if because I think Arsenal also had a new director.
They have, yeah.
The sporting director. I'm interested to see if they're actually gonna go with Arteta's priorities and signing, because most of the time Arsenal just went and signed what they wanted, not really what the coach wanted. And you can start seeing, because the coach always wanted a striker, he never got one. He always wanted the midfielder, he never, I think a midfielder or a left, but he never. So now I really want to know if they're going to back the coach up and actually get what he wants.
That part's been a bit more mysterious. However, the new sporting director has said that he is aiming to spend money this summer. So whether or not it's more about what the club wants or what the manager wants, there will be more shakeups in the roster guaranteed than there have been in the last couple of seasons. So that's a good thing for them, at least.
Nah, that makes sense, because
sure, it's your first summer transfer window. You want to sprint, maybe you don't spend like Todd Bowley spent at Chelsea, where you ended up with 8 goalkeepers, but nobody else really seems to do that. But yes, I mean, it's your first. You want to prove something. You've seen in the last bit of the season, especially at least with Arsenal, when they have shortcomings, unlike other clubs where like Chelsea, there's 1,000 things that you feel could be done.
Yeah,
because there's so many players, everybody's sort of out of sync. Arsenal, it's pretty obvious what needs to be done. So if you have obvious fixes and the money to spend and the desire to spend it and the desire to prove yourself with these new signings, this is the perfect matchup for you.
Think Arsenal
you know exactly where you need to spend the money.
You think Arsenal go ahead and sell Kyrgios? You would sell Kyrgios if you're Arsenal?
They need a replacement regardless.
Yeah.
As long as it's as long as if he comes out, somebody else comes in. Because it's showing the last couple of years have shown that Saliba and Gabriel cannot play the season week in, week out together all the time. It's like it's your starting matchup. Their best win together, obviously, but they can't play a full season without somebody getting hurt. So you need rotation. So if they do hold on to Kevior, they still need somebody else to come in. If they bring him out, they still need somebody else to come in, regardless, because the rotation gets pretty thin. I think he did better the end of this season in coverage for Gabriel than he has in the past. He did tighten up quite a bit defensively, as opposed to like what was going on last season. But yeah, regardless if he stays or goes, you do need somebody else to come in for rotation, without a doubt.
Okay. Another talking about Arsenal Newcastle. How did you see that game? Personally, I see a lot of fatigue. I guess it's the end of season
on both sides. Yeah,
on both sides. But Declan Rice, man, effortlessly, that golazo, the way he always scores is always impressive.
And great dragging pass across the center from Odegaard as well. Like better strike, more difficult strike, obviously. Great pass in. I feel like that's what Odegaard is known for when he plays well.
Yeah.
And you just need to get back to that confidence level, but he shows that he can still do that kind of stuff.
Raya, a lot of people were complaining last year when we put when Arteta put the other goalkeeper aside.
Yep.
But this season, I don't know if everyone can agree, but Raya has shown, or at least have improved to where I can say he's become a kind of a world-class goalkeeper. I mean, the saves, the anticipation when he plays, it's not Raya of 1 year ago. Now I think everybody is going to give Arteta. I guess Arteta has the last laugh right now.
It does seem so, yeah. Yeah, and it's like the major comparison between Raya and Ramsdale was that Raya was a bit more of the safe goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He did play with his feet a little bit more because he was supposed to be able to, but then he was making some early mistakes. A lot of what they liked about Ramsdale was the sort of Hollywood saves.
Yeah.
But what you didn't realize at the time was that the reason that he's in that position to make that Hollywood save is because he was out of position to make the regular save, and like he's having to extend out, and he is having to make these last ditch efforts, and they worked a lot in his favor. But he did put himself out for the concession of a lot of goals, and now that Raya has shown that he is the safer keeper, but still has the ability to make those Hollywood saves. He's sort of playing in a hybridization of what Ramsdale did well and what he himself does well. And he's improved a lot. And I would say world class in terms of top 10 in Europe. He's still not at the Courtois, the Alisson Becker, or anything like that. But
but also. I
Not
think
yet, at least.
I think sometimes it depends on opportunity. For me, I'm just taking a veil example. For me to be considered top of let's say shooting, right? Yeah. They might say, well, this guy's at the top. I might be in the league of the big shooters. I'm talking about guns, but you have your top 3 and you look at them. Well, they've been to all this kind of competition. Now it also goes with opportunity. What I'm trying to make the point is, Raya also had never been the opportunity of the Champions League in World Cup, because this is where you get your badge. You don't get your badge by playing everyday league. You get your badge in the most difficult games. How do you come up in the biggest competition? So I think that's also, we can also blame that against him. But as far as I also see, I think the improvement right now of Raya from last year to this year gives Arteta a little bit more of a reason why he did so. Because especially Raya is young.
Yeah, and he's about to get even more experience, because you think about on the national levels, how many Spanish keepers are really going to be muscling him out of a top spot. So not only is he going to be playing more Champions League football in the Premier League as well, because playing for Brentford is great in the Premier League, but your Brentford is any given year always going to be battling relegation to some degree. So you're in a top 6 spot, you're in Champions League football. I can't think off the top of my head of any Spanish keepers that are really, really giving him a hard time for the starting spot. But the Spanish lineup is always very dense in every position they have. So,
but as goalkeeper, I feel like and he's gonna be playing Euros, World Cups, and all this. So I think that's where he will get his badge.
In 2 years of Spanish duties, Premier League duties, and Champions League, like the ceiling has, I think at least, doubled or quadrupled in terms of what the capacity that he has is.
I think so. And when I look at the Arsenal team, I feel like there has to be some kind of creative energy that has to come in for next season. The reason why I say they feel a little bit too mechanical, and when you look at the game now, the one thing I'm liking about the game now is they're changing a little bit. It's not as mechanical as it used to be. Like you look at Barcelona, you look at Inter Milan, like it's not something that's rehearsed. That tiki-taka sort of Pep's deal, I think, is a little bit fading away in a sense. Where yes, that's still the future of football, where you can rotate player each position, but the emphasis on this is what you're supposed to do and constrain, it feels like it's fading a little bit. I mean, Barcelona don't really, they rotate. But you see the freedom.
I think that part of it is seeing the because it's you always want to do what the successful clubs are doing. And the reason that a lot of clubs could not match what Pep was doing was because it's working for him, because he has the world-class players that are good enough to be able to just sit and hold with that one skill set that they have. But now that they themselves aren't able to do that as well, I think that we're accepting the fact that this game is a lot of improvisation and adapting, and it's not so much that even the world-class players now can even really maintain that system anymore. So you have to play in a bit more of a free-for-all style, where one guy may have an A set and a B set, but at the end of the day, this sport breaks down, and you've got to just win the one-on-one duels and adapt to the circumstances. So you need that freedom more than you need the restriction.
Same thing as when you look at City played City against Crystal Palace, man.
Round of applause for Palace, man. First club trip, man. Absolutely insane.
166 years, something like that.
What?
The first club trophy. They haven't had one in a long time. I think
they were a second division English champion, I think in the 60s, but they haven't won a cup since the that one BS trophy that it was when England was the English clubs were out of competitions and the big six didn't go into that competition. So really this is their first trophy ever, period.
And
which is amazing.
They did really good and they've been performing very well. The reason why I brought that game up is also because it seems we're talking about City and the world-class players and how the system, the philosophy of play or of City's play is affecting them too, in the sense that when you look at Phil Foden.
Oh yeah.
So this is what I'm recollecting from the world. It's kind of spread. Do you think he has fallen, or do you think that Phil Foden is just because I guess this season is not his season? There's a lot of things that goes into it, but do you feel like it was a how do you call it, a fluke for last year? Because last year he was obviously a good player.
Yeah. This is one of those circumstances again where I think it's more confidence based, and I think it's more about the team around him.
Yeah.
Because every single one of the players that are in that Man City lineup are in bad form as well.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult for me to single out one player and go, it was it was a sham. You were a sham. It's like no, everybody, because if you're pointing the finger at him, you've got to be pointing the finger at De Bruyne as well. And it's like, yeah, De Bruyne played more consistently at a high level than Foden did overall, but he's also an older player.
Yeah.
So you've seen what happened when that system
works,
that requires every single person to do one minute thing at their absolute best. He flourishes in that.
Yeah.
And so he has the ability to play very well. When the side loses confidence, when they lose fitness, of course he's not going to play that well. If he was playing lights out, how does he actually get to impact the team that much? The team is built so much on moving with each other.
Yeah.
Not like a Jack Grealish at Aston Villa where it really is that just like run, be free, kid. Give him the ball, he'll make something happen.
Yeah.
Like if Foden was playing at the same form that he had, how is he going to be able to get that form to actually come to fruition if everybody else in that chain link
that's true
is
so
faltering?
Do you ever wonder if this is a system player? Oh,
he could be.
See, because like when I mean system players outside of City, when he goes for England, let's say you remove him outside of City, do you think he will perform well?
I think so. As long as he spent his young formative years being a part of a system. Other teams run systems as well. It's not like just the hyper functionality of that system at Man City seems to now be crumbling, and it's affecting every single player. As long as he's not going to some of the more ragtag, just fly and be free kid. But we also don't know if he can do that because he's also not able to do that here either. So it's like it's not that he's trying things and they're not working. He's still having to adhere to something that's not at full force. So he very well could be a breakout solo player.
We don't know.
At a looser club, or even just still a highly structured one that does allow him more adaptability. We don't know because he spent so long in a system that is now not working, and everybody's suffering from it. So there's a lot of answers that need to come out about that pretty soon.
I wonder if it's also is the time for Pep to kind of readjust that extra hyper functionality pass to pass system might be fading away, where you kind of have to readjust a little bit your philosophy of or how you see the game. The reason why I say that is that system first of all require a lot of efficient player at doing one thing at 100%. That's why it worked with the Xavi and the Iniesta back in the days. You get here, it worked with the KDB, the Rodri,
David Silva early
on.
And that was actually what I wanted to say first as well. It's like part of the issue is the fact that early on in his system development, he was able to actually replace players with one-for-one skills. Like replacing David Silva with a Kevin De Bruyne or a Bernardo Silva, that is a good upgrade.
Yeah.
Attempting to now create a system in which Mateus Nunes is replacing Bernardo Silva, that's not good enough. And that's been 3 or 4 years in the making now of people that you're trying to integrate into the system are just not as good as the players that are already in the system. And now those players that were good enough are older and not fit. So now
that's why
nobody's operating at the caliber that they need to for this thing to work.
That's why I was talking about readjustment, because now you got to find what works best and get out the best of these players. It might not be the best of these players in that system, but it might be the best of those players in a different form of system. So it just depends on how you want to see the game.
And then that begs the question as well. It's like, yeah, let's say that he does change the system, and let's say that he does get better performances out of Mateus Nunes, out of Savinho, out of the one kid that came on, the Argentinian 19-year-old in the FA Cup final. Why did he come out instead of Grealish? That doesn't make any sense. Vardiol and Kusanov and these guys, let's say that you do get them playing better in a system that's more free. They're never going to be at the same level of the past two generations.
Mm-hmm.
That's just bad drafting. Like, if you get these guys playing lights out in the midfield, they're still not going to be as good as Kevin De Bruyne or David Silva or Bernardo Silva, but that's what you bring guys in to do once your club is established at that height.
Yeah, but these players also, I think the KDBs and all that, it also depends on kind of work environment. The reason why I say work environment, KDB was not good at Chelsea. You could argue that.
Yeah.
Salah wasn't good at Chelsea. You could argue that. But when we look at Salah at Liverpool, it looks like the rebirth of
and
something.
Roma and Wolfsburg for those guys respectively.
That's why I said probably sometimes work environment impact how you actually perform, or the system and environment.
Yeah.
You look at Anthony. Everybody had Bela on Anthony. Man, he's killing it in Real Betis.
Yeah.
So depending, that's why
they're in the conference final against Chelsea, aren't they?
Yeah.
I might have to watch that game too.
Yeah, I think
Chelsea and
who's
Betis
winning?
Chelsea. Come
Chelsea?
on. Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Damn, but Real Betis is playing lights out though.
Nothing would make me happier than Betis to win that against Chelsea. But
Chelsea have it. They have the players.
So that's the issue with the lack of the relegation system in the UEFA competitions now, is that essentially the 6th place English side.
Yeah.
Come on, if nobody's trickling down from Europa, you have to think that the 6th place Premier League side in that competition every single year now is the odds-on favorite. The top English side in that competition should, and because they did it, they absolutely mopped the floor with the competition throughout the league stage, throughout their knockout stages. This will be the first time they're actually going to be tested. And don't get me wrong, you can crush an entire knockout competition and then choke in the final. That's more than possible to happen. But with this system now in play, where no Champions League spots are going down to Europa, no Europa is going down to conference, it's always going to be a club like Chelsea, like Villa when they're in great form, like if Nottingham Forest can squeak in that spot and maintain the form. If Nottingham Forest had the form that they had this Premier League season in the Conference League, they shatter that league. They shatter that competition. So that's the only issue that I have with it.
I can get behind that, but that's actually a good conversation to be had probably at the end of this season. But I was just really
because now watch them lose and my whole fucking argument goes out the window.
No. The thing is that I like this format just because it gives a chance. So let's say you're level 1 guy at a video game, right? You get to enter competition with other level 1s. Then you fail there and you gotta go to level 2 to win. I think it's unfair. For level 2 players that enter the competition for level 2,
and you then go down to 1.
And you come from level 1, just wipe everyone. It's like, of course, yes, because this is not really your competition. That's kind of why I like this now.
So, and I agree 100%. Like, by keeping the relegation system separate, like, you do allow for that firmer competition to maintain. What I mean, though, is that because that competition allows for that 6th place Premier League slot to even exist in that competition, that to me already feels like a Europa level side coming down and starting in that competition. Like, the gulf between a 6th place Premier League side and the other sides that are in the Conference League, it already just feels like someone's trickled down. And it's like, you don't belong here, man. You know what I mean? It does feel that way.
Yeah, definitely. But I can get behind that. Well,
because Chelsea don't belong there.
Yes, that's another thing too. But at least because we see that also as it's also in certain ways we can say it's the failure. We can see the failure of the club itself due to its history of the past 15 years, where you have been great for this amount of time. I guess the only time they were sometimes in the Europa League, because Mourinho won Europa League with these guys too and stuff like that. But at least it speaks to their own consistency as a club, that it's not been that consistent to be at the top level, because you don't really belong there. And to be, if we just put on paper, you're actually a level 1 guy It's just because you guys haven't figured out how to work the club.
Yeah.
Because you have the
your
players.
roster is so usually you look at the rosters of the conference league sides and you're like, how are you guys still in this competition, man? Like, this is crazy. And but it reminds me of PSG's situation as well, where where you really benefited from performing poorly to a certain point in the competition, and then you turn it on, and now you're lights out. Like, PSG did benefit from placing low in the league stage because they were playing in bed. They were poor. Yeah. And now that they've turned it on, they kind of benefited from those draws. And then same thing with Chelsea. It's like you're coming a bit more in your own form now, and you earned the spot to go into the Conference League, but now you're just surrounded by teams that are nowhere near you, and that was you almost benefited from being poor. Yeah. And then to me, that's just what it kind of feels like the Premier League sides are going to do. They're going to be poor enough to be in sixth place. Yeah. And then
just go over there.
Yeah. And it's like they should be kicking themselves in the ass going, we got to be better. But now they're going to have a trophy at the end of the next season for being poor. It's like, to me, that's what it could end up developing into. But it doesn't matter because that trophy is not necessarily highly regarded. But at the end of the day, European silverware is still European silverware to me.
That's true. I mean, it's very interesting. That's kind of why I like the competition right now, the format, but I also understand the fact that it, I wouldn't even say watered down. It's just that the people that you're expecting to be knocked off and go into this league and make it extra competitive are not there anymore. Yeah. It also created a chance for for other teams to try and win it. Although the favorite in line would be, like you said, other English teams, because the top 6, top 7, top 8, they're really good. So now it begs the question to say, will that be a monopoly? Every year we're just gonna have to wait for any English team to win it? Yeah.
Because again, I like the new format. I like the league stage format a lot. I like that. I like the playoff round in the knockouts. It'll be really interesting to see once we have 5 years of this competition without the relegation system behind it. Yeah. What that ends up doing to Europa, but really the Conference League, I think. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, go get us everywhere.
Get us. Pick me up.
Pick me up. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and subscribe.
Do it.
Turn on your bell notification. Do whatever you can to get. That's what it's supposed to sound when we upload. If you have your bell notification on. Yeah. Well, see you guys next week.
Goodbye. Bye.